Welcome back to the broadcast. Well, when it comes to body language, a certain look, maybe a head nod, it can trigger all sorts of emotion. And many times mothers and daughters have a real connection with this. But what happens when we get our wires crossed? Well, that's where psychologist Dr. Trevicia Williams can help us out. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for being with us. Now, I have all boys, so I have not experienced the teenage girl eye rolling, you know, that Amy has.
The mother-daughter
Do we have an hour?
It is one of the most complex, you know, we as mothers, we know it's one of the most complex relationships there is.
Yep.
And largely because we talk a lot, mothers and daughters talk a lot, and it's not all verbal. Research shows that body language is like 50 to 70% of a communication. All communication is body language.
Oh, wow.
And while, you know, the communication is body language, yet mothers and daughters speak the same language of love, understanding, and respect. But they don't always exchange those values. So they end up using body language that is offensive, like rolling the eyes and,
that was the first one I was going to say.
Facial expressions and, you know, turning your back and walking away from each other in a heated conversation. And it leaves both of them feeling misunderstood and disrespected.
See, and boys don't do that. What is it about girls that makes them do that?
It's just because it's the mire of emotions with women, you know. Usually moms are going through premenopause or menopause or postmenopause, and daughters are going through puberty.
And
so
teenage hormones.
Hormone city. And then they also send mixed messages when they're communicating. And many times what is meant to be well-intended and well-purposed is misconstrued as she doesn't care, she's dipping in my business, and that kind of thing. So these things can be avoided by first considering the source and listening with your heart, not your head, and laughing a lot of it off.
Well, I was telling you, my daughter gives me this look. My almost 6-year-old gives me this look, and it's just, I know what she wants, I know what she's trying to get, and then I go wipe that look off your face, and everything changes real quick. What are some tips, though? How can we really foster this relationship with our daughters in terms of our communicating?
Well, I mean, it's like I said, listening with your heart, not your head, because a lot of times when you're having a conversation, you get really emotional, you know, and you can kind of mix mixed messages, especially even with like adult daughters. You know, they will think that, well, because mom is making a suggestion or she's giving me advice again, she's dipping in my business. And then when daughters stop sharing so much information, as much information as she maybe once did, moms are feeling left out, like she doesn't love me, she doesn't call me anymore.
And me and my mother have kind of gotten to that point that, you know, now she offers advice because she's like, well, this is how I do it. And I'm like, well, that's not how I'm choosing to do it.
Exactly.
And you don't want to offend her, but at the same time, I don't want her to think that I'm disrespecting her by not taking her advice. And so sometimes the body language, for example, like us driving in the car, like she'll be like, okay, well, I would have gone that way.
Well, Scott does that to me.
And that's a funny situation that the body language, she'll just kind of shift and go. That's her way
Turn
of
in the
saying, like,
back.
well, you didn't listen to me. Okay.
Yeah, you didn't listen to me, or you're being disrespectful or something like that. So that's, you can see how easily, you know, messages get misconstrued. And it leaves both of them feeling very disrespected and unloved.
But when it comes to teenage daughters, would you say that their actions speak louder than their words because maybe they're not as comfortable talking about their feelings as maybe that confidence isn't there yet as much? Yeah, and it's both ways, actually. Actions speak louder than words with both the mother and the daughter, because you speak, what your actions speak volumes.
With my daughter, I've learned that she's just going to talk and open up when she wants to, and I don't press anymore. She will eventually, normally when I'm having her do chores in the kitchen, she'll say, well, today was horrible, and do you know what so-and-so said? And then I'll be like, oh, I stop everything. Okay, I got to listen, because she's giving me that window of what she wants to express, and it comes in little spurts. You know, it doesn't come when I want it. It's when she wants it.
Absolutely. And
I just learned to let her roll.
It's good that you mentioned that when you're doing chores or doing fun things. That's a really natural setting, and they do feel really comfortable opening up to you and sharing, you know, sensitive things and talking about things that are bothering them. So,
how about with boys? How about boys and moms? Because when my boys disagree with me, I get a lot of, okay, mom, you know, and they kind of like pat me on the head, you know, and they literally do because they're so tall.
They're so tall. I work a lot with daughters, so I don't really focus as much on boys, but I think it's the same thing. You know, it's listening, doing a lot more listening than talking, and really hearing each other out.
Yeah, I think that's the key, communication.
Yeah, Lisa's fortunate; she's got precious boys. That
well,
and you are. You really are. She's very
I
sweet boy.
did. I literally cried when I found out I was having a girl because I have, you know, my mom and I have this love-hate relationship, and I'm like, she's gonna hate me. Will loves me all the time, and so I did have that, but I think you're right. If you acknowledge it and recognize what's happening, then you can deal with it effectively.
Exactly, and my daughter said the same thing. She had two girls. She says, "Oh, I'm getting payback now. I'm payback."
My mom says you're always paying for your raisin.
Exactly, exactly. Love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you for the tips. You've made me, I think, glad I don't have daughters. I hate to say. No, I'm kidding. Head over to thebroadcasttv.com. Check on today's links to get more details from Dr. Trevicia Williams. And yeah, good tips there if you're raising a daughter in the house. Coming up next.